morning. It's day 5 of my trip across the Bob, and just up having a little oatmeal and warm coffee. Sure feels good. It rained a little last night for a couple of hours, fairly light rain, and the shelter did its job and kept me dry, so happy that I bothered to set it up. I had briefly considered cowboy camping, but the way things have been so unpredictable with the weather this trip, decided not to risk it. There's something about day 5 that things seem to change. When I've been on longer trips before, it seems like there's a bit of a perspective shift. You know, the physical challenges continue and get a little worse. They kind of compound because there isn't time to heal. But more than that, it starts to become a mental challenge. I get to be a little bit like a horse seeing the barn door and want to just race home. And so it's a challenge for me mentally to stay present where I'm at and enjoy the present place, which is pretty awesome here, even though it's a mistake. You know, the advantage of the mistake is this is a place probably no one has ever camped before or ever will again. Super quiet. One thing about the Bob is that it's right in the way of the jet traffic traveling to Spokane and Vancouver, Portland, Seattle. A lot of airliners fly straight over this, and so even though you're in one of the most remote places in the lower 48, it feels like sometimes like you're almost near a big city because of the air traffic. Plus there's small planes doing tourist travel. They do overflights to see the Chinese Wall. That's how the rich people do it. Alright, all packed up and ready to go. I can't say hit the trail because there ain't no trail, but I am feeling a lot better with the night's rest and a couple of meals. So hopefully I can tackle that elevation gain and loss. That's my wife calling, saying everything's fine. You know, I was thinking about how when I was a young man fresh out of college, I had the good fortune to climb Mount Rainier in Washington State. And before I went on that trip, I had these grandiose notions about how I was going to conquer the mountain. But when I was there and overcome by the enormity of it, that changed, and I kind of thought more in terms of the mountain really had just allowed me to pass, and decided not to pay any notion of me. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping for today, that these mountains just allow me to pass in peace and to move on and appreciate their grandeur. Let's go. I've gained the elevation back up to close to where I need to be to pass in front of this wonderful obstacle. Not exactly back on track, but at least I can kind of see it from here. The travel is a lot easier along here today, more like what I expected. If it had been like this up top, I probably would have stayed up there, but it was really challenging with the broken rock. It's hard to explain what it's like because it was not enough rock and too much rock. So it's kind of like someone had scattered rocks just so that you couldn't step just on the ground, but you couldn't really hop from rock to rock either. So that's Cliff Mountain on the left, right there, and Sphinx Mountain over here. And I have to find a way through about here, not to be confused with all of this that looks like the wall, but it's not the wall, it's just a wall. I believe it's Amphitheater Mountain. When I was looking on Google Earth, I made some navigational notes to myself. Don't laugh. And one of the things that I said was, I noticed that there's 2 ravines that you have to go down off of Salt Mountain. You have to go down the first one and then climb over the hump and then over to the second one, and that's where I am now. And just trying to figure out if this is the way to get up on the slope of Cliff Mountain. I think that it is. I'm gonna head up there. Well, good news and bad news. That's Salt Mountain on the left, and the way is fairly clear to get there. Bad news is that was only the first ravine, and I got the big one to go yet, all the way down in there. Finally got down in the actual second ravine. So now I've gained this ravine, and I'm pretty sure all I have to do is follow this up. I'm at 7,300 feet now, and if I keep following it up to 78, that should take me right to the rim of that tarn. Up to 7,700 feet, and this ravine travel is going a heck of a lot better than it did yesterday when I was climbing up the backside of the wall. Of course, that might have something to do with this being the first 1,000 feet of the day versus the 4th as it was yesterday. Well, I'm back up to the wall, looking to the north, and way off in the distance is Larch Hill Pass over here, and that's where I started this part of the trek. Beautiful with the morning sun hitting it. It's about 10:30, and down there is the Moose Creek drainage. Little pond there, nice source of water if you're traveling along the face of the wall. And that's on out Moose Creek, which joins the North Fork of the Sun. Well, I finally made it up to the little tarn that's in this giant cirque, and that's Cliff Mountain, the real one. Unfortunately, the walls are so steep I can't see down in to see if that tarn is dry or not. That is back the way I came. Oh, and there is the wall. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to find a little bit of water left in that tarn. That's going to help an awful lot, since I've got a lot of country to cover yet. And I'm down to about 6 swallows. As far as whether this water is clean or dirty, well, it looks pristine, and I doubt that any stock has ever been around this cirque. But on the other hand, it's stagnant, and I don't really trust water that's just been sitting. So go ahead and treat it, just to be safe. By the way, I did want to give a shout out to my internet friend Mike from Helena, who I've met on backpackinglight.com, that forum, but I've also met him once in person. Just want to say thanks for writing an awesome trip report of this route, and also of Mike answered some specific questions I had. There is a nice saddle with some pretty good camping possibilities up just above that tarn, and the edge of the wall is right there. So it'd be kind of cool place to camp if you didn't mind sleeping at 8,000 feet and dropping down about 200 feet every time you needed to get water down in there. So now I'm just working my way up around the end of Salt Mountain, and I need to gain probably about 600 feet in order to be where I need to be in order to pass in front of Sphinx Mountain. Just contouring across the backside of Salt Mountain. This is probably the only part of this trip that is exactly what I expected it to be. Pretty easy going, and just gradually contouring uphill to gain that elevation. About to start heading down into that parkland in front of Sphinx Peak. And here we are back to the edge of the wall one more time. This is on the other side of Cliff Mountain, and obviously not quite as sheer here, the very southern end of it. When people approach, normally they come up through Burnt Creek drainage right there, and that part is usually the first sight of the wall. Well, I've been blessed with cloud cover to make it not quite so hot with the climbing I've had to do so far today. But the sky has been threatening to form thunderclouds, so I'm thinking I probably should stop dallying and get down off the high country before something happens. Just passing the front of Sphinx Mountain right now. Well, it looks like I'm not going to make it. It's starting to rain now. Haven't heard any thunder yet. So hope for the best. I'm just going to keep moving. I've made the point before that the Chinese wall is just one formation of probably 100 like it throughout the Bob. And this is a pretty impressive wall here. Person could have this as a destination and not be disappointed.
Picked up a little social trail, which is awesome. Hopefully that'll help me make good time to get up and through that notch. Haystack Mountain's on the other side. Check out the snow coming out of that chute. Nearly to that notch, which is good because out in the open space it started to hail on me. Seems to be lightening up for a moment. Hope I can make it through there. There is some distant thunder going on. Well, the sun's coming out intermittently, but the thunder is getting closer. I heard it said that if you can hear thunder, it's close enough to strike you. So I'm not quite sure whether I should make a dash over that notch. Made a sprint for it and got through that notch. Now I just gotta work my way around Haystack Mountain. A little bit of thunder still. And this is rougher ground than I was thinking it would be. So it might take a little while. That drainage down there is where I want to be, the White River. Things were getting a little more serious, so I decided to duck into a copse of trees and give it a few minutes to pass by. And just like that, time to make a dash for the next 100 yards. Hopefully there's plenty of trees. The backside of Haystack Mountain is rugged but manageable. I suppose the easier route is to stay right up on the edge, but that's at 8,000 feet, and I wasn't fancying that with this weather blowing through. One more surprise. Just when I'm getting almost to that trail to come down off Haystack Mountain, another little obstacle. Looks like I'll be dropping down and trying to meet the trail a bit lower. The trail down from Haystack Mountain is a very hairpinned trail, and I've calculated the elevation that I need to be at in order to hit one of the closest turns. And I think actually that might just about be the right elevation where I need to scramble up there. So this might work out just fine. This is an interesting landscape just up past that rock wall. There's a marmot whistling at me too. Did I say one more surprise? Wrong again. I gotta tell you, it's a rare joy to find the trail after 2 days of flailing around and not exactly being lost, but not exactly knowing where I'm at most of the time. The trail represents the path back home and back to civilization. It's going to take me a couple of days to get there, but I'm so thrilled to be able to navigate that in the end. I think I deserve a cheeseburger and a beer. And that's where I'm headed. That would be the White River. That junction you see is where the two branches of the White come together, and with any kind of luck I might be camping there or a little farther along. Now this is the way to travel. Nice clearly defined trail. No question where to go. love it. Almost down to the White River Pass Trail, and that gives me a nice view of an area called the Flathead Alps. Just finally made it down to the junction with the White River Pass Trail. There's the first glimpse of the White River. Looks a little different than the Spotted Bear, doesn't it? Well, I made it to the crossing of the White River, and let me tell you, it was glorious to wash my face and hair in free-flowing water again. That felt so good after 2 days of not having access to unlimited water. Beautiful. Now we've got 5.3 miles if I make it to my goal, but anywhere I stop on the way is going to be money in the bank for tomorrow and making that an easier day. That's where I was earlier today. That's the backside of Haystack Mountain. There sure are a ton of really nice campsites along the first couple of miles after that crossing. A lot of them are outfitter campsites. A little tough to ignore them and keep going. Last time I was through here, I was being escorted by a friendly moose, hoping he doesn't feel the need to make a return engagement. Wow, what a couple amazing days that was. I can't believe everything that I've experienced in that time. Seems like a lifetime ago. So it looks like I was able to do about 17 miles today. I pushed on to get down to the lower White River, which means I only have about 3 miles to go tomorrow to get to the South Fork, and then that should make a fairly easy day tomorrow. Just getting dinner ready. I've got my camp all set up, and boy, I'm ready to hit the sack. I'm really beat after today. Really grateful to the mountains for allowing me to pass and giving me this wonderful experience. All the highs and lows, from elation to frustration, and I don't mind admitting that I even felt a little anxiety last night when it hit me that not only was I on a rarely traveled route, but I was way off of the rarely traveled route. So if something would have happened, I would have been in a world of hurt. No one would have ever found me. So this morning I was camping right here about on the edge of this formation, and then I climbed up and around the front of that, and then contoured across in front of Salt Mountain, and I was confused thinking there were 2 ravines, but this actually is a ravine here too. So that's the first one, over this hump to the second one, and then this third one. I followed that on up to this little tarn that's right in front of Cliff Mountain, where I got water, and this is the edge of the wall. And then I came around this backside of Cliff Mountain and back up to the edge of the wall. There's Burnt Creek drainage I was looking down, and then came down to this pinch point in front of Sphinx Peak, and this beautiful wall in front of Sphinx Peak, and this is the notch that I had to make a race to get through. Then I came around the backside of Haystack Mountain, and some of these little wrinkles in the contours, like this especially, are actually cliff bands that I had to drop down and cross over, but this one worked out because it helped me to come right into the trail for Haystack Mountain about here. Went on down Haystack Mountain Trail to the White River Trail. This is the junction of the two forks of the White River. Then on down along the White River. And I believe I'm camped right about in here somewhere, just short of White River Park.
Alright, well, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Get along, little doggy, get along with me. Ooh, it's time you face the fact that you can't remember